25. Secrets of zoos. When it comes to a topic like zoos, you can expect that there will be a really long list of pros and cons. And today we're going to have a look at some really incredible secrets about what happens at zoos, and some not so incredible too. Feel free to add your thoughts in the comments below, sharing your experience of zoos. 25. No petting allowed. There are many zoos where you're able to go in and pet the animals, and you'd be shocked to hear that thousands of people, including children, have gotten seriously ill from doing this. The most common illnesses that are picked up are E. coli and Salmonella bacteria, both of which are extremely dangerous. It's been estimated that roughly 73,000 people get sick every year from petting zoos. 24. It takes money to make money. Giant pandas are always top on the list of animals to view at a zoo, and you'd be horrified to hear how costly it is to keep a panda fed. Pandas only eat bamboo, and one panda can eat anything from 26 to 84 pounds every day. Some areas it's tricky to grow bamboo, so it has to be imported. For example, the Toronto Zoo spends roughly $370,000 importing bamboo from a Memphis-based supplier. Pandas are generally imported from China, and zoos pay up to $740,000 a year to keep a pair of pandas. If one had to not survive for whatever reason, China takes a fine of up to $400,000. 23. Wild one. We are often led to believe that zoo animals that are in rehabilitation centers or sanctuaries are released out into the wild again, and that we're helping them. But studies have proven that most of those animals released don't actually survive. Since they're deprived of their natural habitat at the sanctuary, they often lack the knowledge and social skills to survive, and inevitably don't make it. 22. Diagnosis: zoochosis. That's the name given to animals who literally go crazy in captivity. Elephants out in their natural habitat will walk up to 30 miles daily and love exploring, and bears are busy for 18 hours every day. All zoo animals are deprived of what should come naturally to them daily. With no privacy, cramped living quarters, and insane noise levels, animals often display unusual behavior because they're bored and frustrated, and will even hurt themselves in the process. 21. Even worse. While there may still be good stories to share with you about zoos in this video, those in the know will tell you to be aware of the zoos you find on the roadside. Generally, the animals in those zoos are treated poorly in comparison to regular zoos. These zoos tend to have very little to keep the animals occupied, and those running them are looking to make a quick buck with the passing traffic. 20. Animal lover. And for some good news, and it makes sense, anyone studying to be a zookeeper is usually a dedicated and passionate animal lover, and they have to be, as they're not exactly earning the big bucks. Zookeepers are generally working closely together to ensure that the animals are healthy and happy, because healthy and happy animals make for healthy and happy zookeepers. 19. The Great Escape. You've probably had this happen in your area, when a zoo animal has escaped, and you'd be surprised that this is something that happens rather frequently. They're naturally wild animals, despite being kept behind bars and glass, and their instinct is to roam and explore. One example is Ollie, a bobcat from the National Zoo in Washington. He went missing for 2 days before he was caught again. There used to be an orangutan from the San Diego Zoo who also used to escape a lot. He was even nicknamed Hairy Houdini, but he always returned home again after his adventures. 18. Oh baby. Inbreeding is sadly a problem in a lot of zoos, which can cause a baby to be born with many physical and mental disabilities. 17. Thumbs up. If it wasn't for the intervention of zoos, 39 species of animals that are listed as extinct in the wild by the IUCN would not be around today. Those animals are living excellent lives in zoos around the world. They include the Panamanian golden frog, Bellinger river turtle, golden lion tamarin, and the scimitar horned oryx. Reintroduction has also been credited with seeing a rise in the Californian condor population. In the 1980s, there were only 23 in the wild, and thanks to the intervention of zoos, there are now more than 400 in the wild. 16. Baby number 3. We do an about turn and highlight the fact that most people love to see baby animals. I mean, let's be honest, they are super cute and really do appeal to the masses. Some zoos have been known to breed their animals excessively to make more babies, to draw more crowds, to make more money. Simple. When the animal has grown up and therefore not that appealing, they are either sold or kept locked away in an effort to make more babies, draw more crowds, make more money. 15. Check the fine print. As we said earlier, not all sanctuaries are how they appear. Sanctuaries should be non-profit, with conservation efforts their priority. Animals in sanctuaries should never be bred for display, so just keep that in mind if you happen to visit a sanctuary in the not-too-distant future, and ask them if you're not sure. 14. All you can eat. Animals eat a substantial amount of food, and as you know, food isn't cheap. Think of how many animals are in a zoo, and you can only imagine what the costs are to feed them all. One zookeeper jokingly said they're pickier than restaurants when it comes to what they buy for their animals, as the animals have very specific diets that they need to follow. An elephant will wolf down 600 pounds of food every day, amounting to $15,000 a year. A group of Barry Marabou storks cost $10,000 each to feed in their very first 100 days of life. 13. Fast food. Fake hunts are often staged for a zoo animal. As you can understand, the carnivore's natural instinct is to hunt for their food. Zoo workers will provide the animals with a moving animal carcass for them to hunt, as opposed to their regular protein feed. Often huge colorful balls are kept in their enclosure for them to pounce on and prey on. 12. Alone time. And not because the animal has asked for it, but because most zoos that receive a new animal will keep the animal in quarantine for up to 60 days to ensure they are clear of any parasites and diseases. 11. For safekeeping. We mentioned reintroduction earlier, and this factors in a similar vein to that. If there is a species in the wild that people are concerned about, then zoos have been known to set up insurance populations. Should that species become extinct, then there is a backup plan in place. The Amur leopard is a good example of that, and despite the fact that there's only a few dozen in the wild, there are more than 200 in captivity. 10. Get an education. Many believe that zoos are good because they're educational, but others will tell you that this is a big lie. We're not going to tell you what to believe, but those who believe the latter will tell you that the only thing zoos teach you is that it's acceptable to keep animals in captivity. Those that visit zoos only spend a few minutes at each enclosure, which doesn't give you nearly enough time to learn something important about each animal. And on top of that, their living habitat is not normal, so the information being imparted is a half-truth. 9. See it to believe it. It's hard to imagine people getting away with this, but there are some zoos that have been known to use fake versions of the original animal, and people actually believing it. You might remember the story of a zoo in China posting a Tibetan Mastiff off as an African lion. Dogs have been dressed up as leopards or wolves, and sea cucumbers have been posed off as snakes. So much for getting an education. 8. Strict standards. A scary statistic is that only 10% of zoos in the US have their proper accreditation. Most of the zoos are licensed by the US Department of Agriculture as animal exhibitors. However, they have failed to meet the high standards of the Association of Zoos and Aquariums, AZA. Reports suggest that often a zoo will have forgotten and outdated exhibits that are neglected due to a multi-million-dollar exhibit that garners everyone's attention. 7. Dish of the day. In zoos, animals tend to get fed a lot of processed foods, and many of the animals endure dental problems because of it. Their eyes, skin, fur, and entire body take strain due to the incorrect food being eaten. 6. A real danger. What visitors to a zoo don't realize is that zoos can be very dangerous for the animals. If they're in a threatening situation, it's impossible for them to escape. Animals have been reported poisoned, starved, not given the proper veterinary care, and even been exposed to fires. Humans have thrown trash into enclosures, which animals have eaten and gotten very sick from. Animals have been mistreated and hurt, and should a natural disaster occur, there is no way the animal can fend for itself. 5. One too many. With the breeding that happens in zoos, often zoos have too many animals, so the surplus animals are sold, given away, or the animal is put down under a practice known as zoothanasia. 4. A joint effort. A good factor about some zoos is that they really try hard to raise money for conservation efforts. They hope that by bringing people through their doors and educating them about the plight of some of their animals in their natural environment, that they will raise awareness and funds for those animals in need. 3. Differing reports. I read 2 different articles regarding the following point, and the one said that animals live longer in the wild, and the other reported that animals live longer in a zoo. The first article mentioned that although zoos provide a safer environment, the fact that it's unnatural shortens the animals' lives dramatically. Elephants in the wild live up to 70 years, and a mere 18 years in the zoo. Orcas at SeaWorld live roughly 13 years, whereas in the open sea, they can live up to 100. The other article said zoo animals live longer, as they have access to medical help should they need, and are overall healthier, with a better quality of life. 2. Family matters. We've already learned that inbreeding has been known to happen in zoos, causing all sorts of complications for the babies. And there's more to the story about the breeding of captive animals. Animals in captivity don't get to choose their mates. They often give birth to test tube babies to make breeding faster, and their babies have been sold or traded. Like humans, many animals have strong connections to their babies, and when they're taken away too early, can have disastrous emotional effects to the mom and the baby. 1. Monkey see, monkey do. Cheetahs are said to be rather anxious, nervous animals and not very good at socializing with each other. Before they become extinct, zookeepers have been racking their brains to find a solution for this problem, and it came in a very unusual way. Puppies. These emotional support dogs have made a huge difference to the cheetahs, and the cheetahs model their behavior on the dogs. They become friendlier, more social, and calmer. The cheetahs are much more confident since this program was introduced. What are your thoughts when it comes to zoos? Let us know in the comments below, and subscribe to our channel for more informative videos just like this. Thanks for watching.